All right. So let's continue. These slides, which should be available, please verify that indeed they're available. Walk you through getting you started with websites, and also a little bit on the widgets, right? So here we're going to create a data model for the widgets, and create a service to go and fetch widgets from the server, right? So let's implement this. Let's see. Is there a way that I can look at this in Google Slides? No. This is annoying. Okay, so I have it here, I think. Let's see. This is so this is Angular service. There we go. All right, and let's make this a little bigger. There we go. And let's make this expand. And somewhere here is grabbing all the widgets. Okay, there we go. Right here. Widgets. All right, so let's create a data model for the widgets. Let's copy this. And under models, let's create a model for the widgets. So let's create new TypeScript, and we'll call this widget.model.client.ts. And in here, let's copy that, and let's paste that. So this declares a data model for the widget, okay, and also some fields that can be used to instantiate these. I think we're also going to need src, so let me add it now in there, and also a constructor here for src for the source, so string, and let me copy it here, src. There we go. All right, so that's the data model. And once we have the data model, we can then create maybe a mock values for these widgets, right? So let's create right along the model, or maybe on the service would be better. On the service, we're going to create a service for the widget, and we're going to have the mock data there. Okay, so we're going to create here in TypeScript will be this will be widget dot mock, and this is on the client because later on we're going to mock it also on the server, right? So this is on the client, and this is TypeScript, and we can paste in here. No, that's not what I want. Copy, paste. Okay. The location of the model is not exactly there, so this will be maybe go up, down to models, and then go down to widgets. There we go. So that's the widget, and it's declaring widgets. Why don't you like that? Reference widget is not defined. Oh, I think it needs a couple more things here. So I'm going to call it widgets. That's a better name, and I'm going to give it an empty source here. src will say that there's empty. I think that's what's complaining about, that it doesn't have values for all the constructors. Right, it's taking each one of these literally, right, and instantiating all those objects. And if it doesn't have all the attributes, it doesn't know what to map to what. All right, so it instantiates all those widgets. So let's name this widgets. Once we have those widgets, let's create a service, right, that's going to provide the data for the widgets. So let's copy that. And now in the same directory, we're going to create quickly here a new TypeScript file, and this will be widgets.service.client.ts. That is going to have the widgets in here, right? Now the models, I think the models is correct, but the widgets, it's local, right? It's in the same directory, so I don't have to go anywhere, right? It's right there in the mock. And it's declaring this injectable service. And we need to declare this service in the Angular in the app module as a provider, right? So let's import it. Let's import it. So import the widget service. Widget service. There it is. There we go. It found it. And replace the double quotes. There we go. And we're going to declare it as a provider here, right? As a widget service provider. There we go. Once we have it, we can then use it in a component. Now, we don't have a component, so let's create a component that can list all the widgets, right? So let's do that. Let's see. Under the views, let's do one for widget. Okay, let's do it in here. Let's go into terminal and stop the current running of the Angular client. And where are we? So it's going to source, into app, into views, onto widgets. And in here, we're going to create a brand new component called widget list. Okay, component. It's going to create it, and there it is. And I probably already declared it in the ng module, so we don't have to do that. And there's our component. There's our widget list component, which is going to render a list of widgets. Anyway, now that we have that, the component, we're going to start injecting. Well, it's declared already. We don't have to declare it. We're going to inject the widget service into the component, right? So let's do that. Let's import the widget service. There it is. And I'm not going to fix that. I can fix that later. We're going to inject it into the widget list, right? So here we have private widget service of type widget service. There we go. And now that we have it, we can ask for all the widgets, right? We can declare here a variable widgets of type widget array, right? Which is we can import it. There it is, widget from models. And at first, what we'd like to be able to do is just render the list of widgets. Okay. Right now, it's done on the server. We're going to fetch it in the server in a minute. For now, we're just going to get it from the current web service in the client side, right? So we're going to say this dot widgets. We're going to fetch it from this dot widget service dot find all widgets. Yes, right? And where we're going to render it in the component. In the component here, we're going to do h1. These are the widget list, and we're just going to render it maybe as a div. We're going to say we're going to do something like ng4 let widget of widgets, right? And for now, we're just going to render the name of the widget. So widget text, sure, right? So let's see what we got so far. So how do we navigate there, right? So our application is not set up to navigate there, right? To widgets, so a list of widgets. Why is this? Oh, okay, no, our Angular application is not running, right? So that's what still. So what we need to do is create a route that will allow us to navigate to the widgets. Obviously, your route is going to be a little more complicated. Mine's going to be very trivial. It's going to say that if I say widget, it's just going to load the widget component. Right, so this would be widget, widget. Hey, where's my widget component? Did I not declare it in the module? In the app module, did it not declare widget list component? Yeah, it is. Widget list component. Did it find it? Add import. Oh, there it is. Boo. I don't know why I didn't find it earlier. There it is. Okay, fine. All right, so let's try it out. Let's run this ng serve. Let's see if this exploded and it broke. All right. Okay. Yes. No. All right. So let's load this now. There's our profile, but let's try and navigate to, oops, to widgets. Widget. All right, there it is. Right, there's our widget list, rendering from a static array of widgets that is in the client. But we want to move that to the server side. Right, so let's move it over to the server side. Right, this is so that you can see the entire stack, right, in action. So let's do that. Let's create first the widget service, and we have that. Where do we have that? Right here. Let's move that right there, and let's move on to creating the collection. We did that. Creating the route. We did the route, the mock data. All right. So let's create now the same mock data, but on the server. Right. So let's take the same content and move it over to the server. So under assignments, on the services, we're going to create a widget service. Yes. But before we do that, we'll create the mock for it, right? So this will be widget.mock.server.javascript. This is JavaScript. This is not TypeScript, right? It's just this is regular JavaScript. So let's paste that in there. So notice that we're declaring just a local array of data, okay? And we are module exports. Right? This is equivalent in Angular of doing just exports. Right? And notice that it's declared afterwards, not at the beginning. Right? So we have that. We can now move on to creating the web service. Right? So let's copy that. Let's implement the web service right here. So this will be JavaScript. This will be widget.service.server.javascript, which is, oops, that's not it. Copy. And what this says is that, well, pass me an instance of Express, right, so that I can listen for an incoming /API/widget, and I'm going to implement that here in the find all widgets. Obviously, yours might be a little bit more involved, where it's the widgets for a page, for a website, for a user, right? So it's a little more involved, right? You need to at least pass in the page ID, right? Because the widgets are defined for a particular page ID. But you know how to do that already. And notice that the widgets that I'm returning is from the mock, right? We just defined, okay? Anyway, so now this service, we need to plug it into our app.js. We need to load it from our app.js. Require, right? We need to require our brand new widget service. So services. So the widget service, there it is. And we're going to pass it the app right there. Right? So that if we restart the server, I think it will be already available for accessing, right? We could just go here and we should be able to just say API widget. Right? And indeed, it comes back with all the widgets, right, from the server. We just need to have Angular be able to access that, right? So there we have the array of all the widgets. There they are, heading and whatnot. Okay. All right. So let's now have Angular be able to do that, right? So there we go. We're going to require whatnot, everything. Okay. So let's do the same thing. Let's refactor the widget service so that it uses the HTTP service to go fetch it, right? So let's copy the two imports. Let's go on to the widget service on the client. Widget service client, there it is. And we're going to import the HTTP, right? We're going to now inject, right? We're going to inject the HTTP service in the constructor. There it is, okay? And then we're going to refactor this find all widgets instead of just returning the hard-coded array. We're going to refactor it to instead go out to the server, right? Go out to the server and fetch this. So I'm going to replace this. I'm going to comment that out, right? And my copy paste doesn't want to work today. Copy paste, there it is. It's going to go out to the HTTP API widget, right? It's going to go out. Why are you complaining about this? This app.get. Oh, right, because probably the component is expecting this value, right? It's expecting an array of widgets. Instead, it's getting a promise. Okay. So let's go refactor the component as well. So on the component, instead of finding all widgets, we're going to replace it with where's the component? Component, widget, service, widget, component, widget list component. There it is. Instead of using widget service find all widgets, I'm going to comment this out, and we're going to use our brand new find all widgets, which is going out to the server and retrieving that back from the server. Okay, and so let's try it now. Let's see. Do we need anything else? Okay, great. So let's go back and see if this works. Let's restart the server. Let's restart the server and go back, and this is the oops. Why? Oh, maybe we need to restart Angular as well. Terminal, stop it and restart. ng-serve. Oh, you know what? I think the model expects as a source, which we might not have. The two different types with the same exist unrelated. Okay, so it might be that. Let me see if it's if we can look at the mock and use exactly the same mock that we have on the client. This mock, and use this same exact mock on the server. Probably they're not the same. Widget mock server. Let's paste it. Is it the same? Okay, we don't have the source, so let's paste that in there. Just make sure that we have both data the same, but I think we're still complaining about something here. Are we missing something here? Oh, response. We didn't import response here. Response. Okay, so that's happy now. Are you happy now? Let's refresh. Okay, so it is retrieving it, right? It is coming back from the server. We can look at the network access here. And when we refresh, notice that indeed we are going out to the widget, right? Server, and it's coming back with the array from the server, right? And it's using it to render this. That makes sense? Okay. All right. Any questions? All right. So let's move on to a newer topic. Let's go.